Okay, so, oh, my hair. um, I want to talk about our ancestry and how that as a living entity, as a living being, a living person, we are the representation, the live representation in the 3D world of all of our ancestry combined. You know, we are at the edge. We are at the forefront as of now. And our children, the children, those of us that already have children, those of us that have children, we have already created the continuance. So, and those of us who have grandchildren have, we are already seeing the extension of our own ancestry combined in them. So, this really hit me. I've realized this before. I realized this once when I was on when I went to do a ceremony, and it was something that really like resonated with me all the way to the core of my being, and that is that I am a makeup of all of the generations that have come before me. I am the life force, the power, the representation, the all of my ancestors exist in me. I am a collaboration of everything that has come before me. And many of us are going through life and feeling like we're disconnected, or feeling like we are, that we don't have a strong family that comes before us, or we can see other families that are large families. I come from a large family, but let's say we see other families that seem like they have a lot of power behind them, that they have that they know their ancestry, that they're able to go in and track their roots, and it feels like, almost like in the physical world, that they have a stronger base than we do, or they have more of a right than we do, or that any of us individually do, thinking. But when you really think about it, each and every one of us that is in existence, whether we know our ancestry or not, or whether we're able to track our family roots, or whether we come, whatever kind of family we come from, it doesn't make any difference. We've all gotten here on the same routes. And we all are a representation of the generations that have come before us. In the way that we look, our physical makeup, our genes, our DNA is all a makeup of the people that have come before us, and also the way that we interact, our attitudes, our personalities. All of that is a combination, the things that we've learned through generation and generation and generation. What our parents have taught us, a lot of times we go back and we blame our parents for all sorts of things, wrongdoings, that we feel like that we got the short end of the stick because our parents were like this or like that or whatever. But when we really realize it, they were a product of their parents and how they were raised, and their family, and our grandparents were a product of their grandparents and their ancestry, and the situation and the opportunities that they had, and their society, how they were brought up in society and what society they came from. And there's so many things that are in the mix there. But each and every one of us that comes into the world, I've met, living in Israel, you meet a lot of people that have in their background, their ancestors went through the Holocaust, and their whole families were wiped out. They have no knowledge of where they came from, their family roots, and they actually, a lot of them, many of them, feel disconnected, like they don't belong, like there's no place for them. They don't even know where they came from. They don't know what their family was like. And my thoughts on that, and what I think, is that each and every one of us that is in existence has come from the same route. Each and every one of us had two parents, which had two sets of grandparents, which had, generations and generations and generations behind them. Whether you know where they are or what their names were or where they came from, it makes no difference, because just the fact that you are in existence means that you have come this route. There's no skipping routes. When you're born from a long line of ancestry all the way back to the Neanderthals, as far back as human existence is. And so each and every one of us in their own right is in existence. And each and every one of us is a representation, a physical representation in this 3D world of every person that came before them in that line. And so it's almost like, I feel like it's almost like an obligation. It's a responsibility. I am the representation of all of my family that has come before me. I am a representation of, I know there's so many different ways to look at this, and I know that I'm divine and I come from the earth, and that that I know all of this, but there's a lot of different truths, and there are a lot of different ways to look at things. It depends on what you're zooming in on. So right now I'm zooming in on Ancestry, and that is the line that I'm going down and what I'm talking about. And I know that I come from God, and that I know that I come from the Big Bang, and I know all of that. But I just kind of want to touch, I know that there are a lot of people that are going through life feeling like they are unworthy, or that other people are more worthy because of families that they come from, or family history that they have, or for all sorts of reasons. As even though we have a very large family in my family, and I can track my lineage, lineage, I can track it back quite a ways. Some of my aunts have done some research on it, and we've gotten quite a ways back. But at the same time, because when I was a child, we moved away from the family, and then we converted into Judaism, and the family came from Christianity. And so there's a big story there. And I didn't grow up near my family. We grew up always, we were moving, and so we were far away from family. So I always felt kind of like I didn't belong anywhere, or that almost like there's no right of being, almost like I have no family history, almost like I'm disconnected from my family history, which now I'm connecting back to my roots in this last couple of years. It's a lot to do with my twin in the physical, not only in the twin flame journey, but also my twin has connected me back to my family roots in a way of simply embracing and respecting and actually bringing my family roots to the forefront and making light of it. Because before that, when we grew up, we were always like brought away from our family roots because of the beliefs, which is just, now I just look at it as silly. And the way that my twin was looking at it, he'd be like, oh, that's so cool. That was the vibe to it, the energy to it. And then he would make like jokes about it. And then it really made me start looking into, where did I come from? Where are my family roots? And all of a sudden I find pride in my family roots. My great grandfather, and I find like connection between me and them and him and my lineage and my family. We're all connected. And all of a sudden I'm finding pride in it. And all of a sudden when I'm starting to really look, I see that my great grandfather, he like built a dynasty. He moved from the States. I talked about it in other videos. You can find, his name was Andrew Degger. Andrew Nugent Degger, I think, was his name. And my grandfather, that was my great grandfather. My grandfather is Andrew Charles Degger. And my great grandfather, he moved from the States to Jerusalem and built a church, and a ministry from Jerusalem that was worldwide, and it's still a widespread Christian. It's the Seventh Day Church of God, I think it's called. See, I don't even really know that much about it. All of a sudden, I'm finding like online all of these books that he wrote, and all of a sudden, I'm finding pride in it. But for most of my life, most of my life, it was almost like something that you don't talk about, because we converted into Judaism, and then we come from on my mother's side, we come from a very Christian, strong Christian family, and so it's kind of like taboo. It was taboo, and almost like I was cut off from any kind of information. Even I didn't know anything about it. It was like, it was almost like a part of the family that you don't want to look at. And now when I'm opening up all that, first of all, just me opening it up is forcing my parents to go through things that I don't think that well, you're always ready to go through because they're kind of forced to go through it. But with me connecting back to those roots, and all of a sudden I'm asking questions, and I'm finding, I'm reading a little bit of Gospels, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I have this completely different understanding of Yeshua, and this, I really have to say that it is all connected to my twin flame. That he actually taught me how to be proud of it and to ask questions. And he was looking at like, oh, cool, look at that. And like bringing it forward, like there's nothing to be ashamed of. And all of a sudden I realized it's like when you get a weight lifted off of you that you didn't even know you were carrying. And then all of a sudden you're like light in those places, not only light, but it gives me like these whole new areas. It's like a whole new playground in my past that I get to play with. It's like, what is this? Oh, but as an adult. So it's almost like I had to lose it to find it, because I'm sure that if I grew up in it like my mother did, she's gonna like, oh, because it was very strict when she was a kid. And there were things there that she didn't like and didn't understand, and she wanted to get as far away from it as possible, because it was kind of like, I guess, like forced, or there was so much that she couldn't do, and she was living in a foreign country because she grew up in Jerusalem from when she was 6. So she grew up as a Christian, and the family were missionaries, basically, and that's what you would call it. So it's kind of like living a stranger among many, and so you're an outsider, and you also have to kind of hide who you are, because missionary work wasn't legal in Israel. I still think it's illegal. I'm just talking about it. And each person is allowed to believe whatever they want. You can't force somebody to believe something, and you can just put the options on the table and allow them to sort through it and see what they want to believe. So that's kind of what I feel like with me, and trying to force somebody to believe something. It's like, isn't that ludicrous? Isn't it like all of the Middle Ages when people were murdered because they wouldn't convert to a certain sect of whatever? I mean, isn't that just like totally? How are you going to make somebody believe something that they don't believe? And how are you going to murder somebody or do something bad to somebody in the name of God? I mean, isn't that just kind of going against everything? Isn't that just kind of like, it's absurd? It's like opposite. It's like crazy. Another thought I was having when I was sitting outside is that I was thinking that genius and the capability of being a true genius or a true leader is being able to understand everything that is going around you. Because I was sitting outside and there were these helicopters going over, like military helicopters, and then it reminded me that there's a lot of things that are going on in this country that I don't even know about really, because I stay so far out of the media and so far away from news or anything that it's just every once in a while I get a glimpse, or somebody will tell me, oh, the country is in turmoil, or I'll be driving along and there'll be a whole bunch of picketing or people out with signs. I'm like, what's going on? And then somebody will tell me that the whole country is like, we're on the verge of war and Iran is building up against it. But in reality, you see different things. You see the both sides of it. You see that, we went the other day, and what struck up this whole conversation, when we went on Sunday to my twins, the guy that does pottery, and this is connected in so many ways to this video, because listen, so when we went to pick up the pots that he makes, this guy that makes the pottery, he is Arab. I imagine he's Muslim, and his family has been making these ceramic. They're not ceramic. They're like clay, natural clay pots for generations, like for 400 years, and they've been using the same system. And if you go into my twin's site and you see, he has the videos in there where it's all in, it's like made in this, they have, I guess on their property, they have a cave. It's an actual cave. And they have wood burning stoves, these big massive wood burning stoves. And so the pots that he makes are made from they're burnt with real wood, you know, olive wood and wood from the area. And so all of they're made of nature, they're made of the land. And then a family recipe for this, and they have been doing this for generation after generation after generation, whereas a lot of the newer places that make these, they make the same, they look the same almost, except for the pots that this man makes. That's what's so beautiful about his business too, is that it's combining Jews with Arabs, you know, to work together. And he calls him his partner because he's, you know, he makes the pots and he sells the pots. They're pots for water, and they actually are like you put the tap water in them and it purifies the water with the vibration of the actual, it's like actually putting the water back into the earth, because these pots are made of earth and then they're cooked with fire that's made from wood. And what a lot of other people do is they've been using like oil, like old car oil and things like that, because it burns really hot and it's accessible, but it puts all those toxins into the clay. And this is clay that people drink from. And so it's just on a vibrational level, it's so much different. And I'll show you mine. He gave it to me last year for a gift for my birthday. And the artistry is really well. These are really well made. This one is special because the pottery guy, his son made this one and put this little decoration in it. So most of them don't have this little decoration. Well, all of them don't have that little decoration. They have like a stamp, which is my twins' like trademark, on the side. So they were stamped. So they have an actual, almost like his logo on it, and it's kind of like the sun thing, like a spiral that's in the shape of a sun. So they're really special, and the water, you can taste the difference in the water. But why was I saying that? Because I was thinking about him when we were reading, and I was thinking that he is a representation of all of the generations before him that have done this artistry, and it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And he is a representation of all of his forefathers. And I was thinking how he is Ne'eman is loyal to the family lineage, like still making the pots according to how his ancestors made it, burning it with wood, and it's like he is saving the sacredity, or saving the, there's a word for it when you integrity, the integrity of his ancestors. And that he is the representation of his father and his father's father and his father's father in this world. So by him saving the integrity of his family line, he is a continuation of them, and he is keeping them alive in this plane, in this physical plane. And then it got me to thinking that each and every one of us is that. Each and every one of us is a representation of all of our ancestors that came before us. Each and every one of us is a physical representation in this world, and what we do and as we do it is it reflects backwards and forwards. So if we are acting with integrity, we are honoring our ancestry and the people that have come before us, and we are bringing them alive in this plane. And I think that is just like, first of all, I can feel the truth in it, because I mean, you can just, all you have to do is think about it and you can feel the truth in it. And that doesn't matter. If you are alive and you are in this plane, you have come from ancestors. You have come from, it doesn't matter if you know them or you were cut off from them, or, just like me, I could have continued the rest of my life completely cut off from anything to do with my ancestry and be totally ashamed of it. It didn't mean that I didn't come from it. I still come from it. Or I can embrace it and empower them and empower me while empowering them. And so even people that have come from lineage that they're not proud of. Let's say I come from somebody that sat in prison for whatever, or that did atrocities. I can fix their legacy in my life power. I can become something else, and in that, I'm fixing their life legacy too. It's like it's like correcting a wrong. It's like giving grace to those who came before me. Maybe in their circumstances, they didn't have the strength to stand up and make a difference. Maybe in their circumstances, they act out of weaknesses, and they had, I did a different one about demons and things about being possessed, and that's kind of, I believe it and I see it in a different way. It's not like oh, he's possessed, like you would think in the movies, and it's all up in the high in the sky. We're all possessed, and you can look at it in any different way you want. You can call it addictions, you can call it behaviors, you can call it psychological problems, you can call it genies, jinns, demons, possessions. It's the two sides of the stick, right? It's every single power of ours has two sides. It has it's the sides that it gives you power, and it has the sides that it takes away your power. So everything is on a spectrum in between light and dark. Nothing is better than the other, and everything is in spiral. So it's going around light and darkness, and so there is no good or bad. There is contrast. There's two sides to things, and wherever you're not standing up in your power, you're falling into your weakness. What isn't growing is because everything is in movement. So whatever isn't growing is deteriorating. And you can see it in people. There's people that are my age that in their spiritual being, they're already declining and stuck in their ways, and already what is the word? Linvol is like to wilting. Their being is wilting, stuck in its ways and wilting and not progressing. Then it's going down. You're forgetting, and you're losing your spirituality, and you're losing your growth. And boy, this video's gone all over the place, but it's really interesting. This is channeled. I just said that, I got back into my avatar, and I got the thought was cut. Some mornings it just like pours out of me, and some mornings I'm totally stuck in my avatar. And when you're stuck in your avatar, you like my twin just wrote me something. I think he sent me a video because it said I saw it come up on the computer like a pop-up message. So that he wrote me he sent me a video, and he told me to look at a certain minute, like 7:24. He said look at 7:24. You know what? I'll add the video in here so you can see what he sent me, just so you can be so you don't have to be curious. He always sends me super interesting things. There, it just came in on my thing. It just came in on my phone too. So I'll go and listen to it. So we have the power in our life to fix legacies. We have the power in our life to empower our ancestors. We have the power in our life to give life force to our continuation, to those who come after us. And it's just like, I feel like, and I'm going to cry because it's coming up in me. It's just like, I feel like my great grandfather was like resting in me dormant until the twin flame journey. All of the potential, I feel connected to him. He passed away, I think it was in November of 75, and I was born in September of 76. So less than a year than when he passed. And I feel like his spirit runs through me. And I honestly feel like his spirit is that we have something, there's something there. There's something there. It's like I'm a continuation of him, I feel like. And I know that that's kind of, I have another cousin that was also born. I think he was also born in 76. And him and I are like two peas in a pod. It's like we have this uncanny connection. He lives in the States, and when we were babies, we were best friends. I know there's a lot of pictures of him and I together. If I remember, I'll add a picture in here in the comments. There's a picture of him and I when we were kids. And then we met again, and he lived in the States, and then we moved all over the place. And then when I moved back to Israel, he came to visit once. He came to visit by himself in the summer when my grandparents were still alive. And I met him when I was 16, but maybe I was like 14. I was all over the place. I was running around Jerusalem like a wild child. I left school at that point. I was running wild. And I think he was the goody two-shoes for me or something. But he remembers a lot of that meeting. And then as an adult, I met him again, and it was just like we clicked. Like we were just like two peas in a pod again. It was just like his sense of humor and my sense of humor just go together. It was like we were just like spiraling off of each other. It was amazing. And we met a few times as an adult when I was living in the States, and also once he came to Israel. And when I heard that he was coming to Israel, I also flew to Israel when I was living in the States. And then we had like these trips together. We went to the Dead Sea together, and with the rest of the family, of course. It was my cousin, and so we're like really connected. So I'm wondering. I don't really remember when he was born, but it's right along the same line. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here because it's getting pretty long. And so I'm going to thank you for watching, and I'm going to put that video in the remarks. I'm going to upload these videos, and today I'm editing my book. Even if it's just, I'm not going to give myself any kind of evens or whatever. I am doing something with my book today. Hopefully I'll get quite a bit done. Yesterday I cleaned the house, so no excuses today, except for that I'm tired, but I'm not going to make excuses. No excuse. Today I'm working on my book. That's it. Okay. So thank you for watching.